I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the City of Meridian Solid Waste Advisory Commission. And this is our regular meeting for February 23rd. It is now 1 minute after 4. And we'll start with roll call. Indicate if you are present. Mark Nelson.
Here.
Steve Corey, here. Scott Walders.
Here.
Sean Keating.
Here.
Tom Oddie. Megan Larson. Karen Richmond. Rand Spywak.
Here.
And Kaylee Philippi.
Here.
Ex officio members, Rochelle Klein.
Here.
Quorum being present, we'll go ahead and proceed with our activities. First on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Are there any comments in relationship to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, this is Megan Larson.
Yes, Megan? Go ahead, Megan.
Thank you. Sorry, I joined just a moment or two late. I was a little unsure of whether I was in or not. I would move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as written. Are there further comments? Further comments? Sensing the commission is ready for a vote, all those in favor of approving the agenda as written signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The motion passes. Also be it noted that Taryn has joined us too. With that, we move on to approval of the minutes from the January 26th meeting. Are there any comments on the draft minutes?
Mr. Chair, no comments, but this is Megan Larson. I would move to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the draft minutes for the January 26th meeting be approved as written. Further comments? Any comments? Sensing the commission is ready for a vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The motion passes and the minutes for the January 26th meeting are approved as drafted. With that, we're going to go into the staff program report section. And the first item under the staff program report is the quarterly report. Sayard?
So since we had a break in our meeting, I'm going to do the July to December 2021 months. So this is kind of a recap of some of what I talked about last time, but just looking at the 3 years, 2019, 20, and 21, you definitely see that our total population in single-family homes has increased. So as actually our trash is kind of bounced up and down a little bit, depending on, the month and what households are doing. And then we can look at, this is trash per pounds, per household, per month. And it's pretty stable, a little bit low in December. And looking at recycling has definitely gone up, which is good. We want to see that. We want to see as close as getting higher, those numbers higher, increasing versus trash. But per household is still pretty low, pounds of recyclables. However, this doesn't account for glass. So if we added a little bit, if we added the glass, we would see the pounds increase slightly. And just overall, this is a trend. If you look at it's from July 2018 all the way till December 2021. Recycling, again, is pretty flat, and trash is pretty volatile depending on, well, right now you can look at and see how COVID, a lot of people were at home, so we see a big jump. People are starting going back to work, supposedly, and then there's a reduction in trash beginning of 2021. And then just looking at grass subscriptions, it's definitely gone up over the 3 years. That's good. Those are pretty steady for that time period. And then same for glass, it's been pretty steady. We do see November 2020, we had to reduce pickups due to COVID incidents. So that's why it's only 44 pickups that day or that month. And that's all I have for just the overview of those months. Does anybody have any questions? I know some of this is pretty similar to what we talked about last month.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman Sayard, do we break down it would be interesting to see when we look at glass pounds per household per month, like tracking trash pounds per household per month above it. And is that
I think I might have had that in the other one, but you want glass?
No, not glass, but just to see the recycling. Yeah, so the garbage and it'd be interesting to see, once you figure in glass and grass, I guess, if we could look at those tons, it would be interesting to see how those impact the overall numbers. Maybe they wouldn't, but maybe they would.
No, so you're saying maybe total diversion, so trash and diversion of everything from the landfill. Yeah, no, that I can certainly do that.
I mean, that was just something I thought would be interesting to see on the residential front, if that impacted the garbage pounds, the average pounds per household per month, if we added those in.
Well, I know in the last presentation, on average, we're hovering just around 10% of diversion rate. But during the leaf season, I think it was in September, November, it jumped up to 18%. So definitely compost or waste debris can significantly impact our diversion rate. So, yeah.
And a follow-up, Mr. Chairman, if I could ask one more follow-up. Just the other thing too, I think that we don't really have any real way of tracking, but we see so many residents using the recycling center at Meridian Transfer Station, a lot of residents. So anything that doesn't fit in their cart, they do bring there. And so we don't know if they're all Meridian residents or not, but that recycling center is booming every day that we're open. So we may not be, even though this is curbside recycling pounds per household per month, we may be collecting a whole lot more at the transfer station recycling center for Meridian residents. So I wanted us to feel more hopeful.
Well, hopefully with the more information that I'm getting from you guys, we can paint more of see what's actually going on. But yeah.
Members of the commission, additional questions or comments on the material you've heard? Okay, I think we
Chair,
can. Oh, yes,
I was
Mayor.
told that Tom is on the phone, so he's listening in to our, so if you want to, I don't know if you want to do a roll call and ask him again if he's here. He wasn't able to get in via Zoom.
Um, Looping back to the attendance, indicate if you're present, Tom Otte.
Mr. Chair, I am present.
Thank you, Tom. Okay. Next on the agenda is a staff year plan from Sayard.
Can you hear me? Okay. So for the year plan, what we have going on are two main things. Firstly is, I know we talked about it for the last, during the last meeting, is working on the waste management, the city waste management plan. So that's something I'll be really diving into and working on, kind of writing about, what's going on right now, where can we go, and what is our goals, and how are we going to go about addressing and getting those goals achieved. So that's my primary focus for this year. And secondary, our secondary is the outreach. We talked about, and that's something that I'll be working on in the coming months, is the squishy water bottle outreach. So the story stroll through the parks, that'd be something. And the second one is a handout that hopefully we can mail out to every household in Meridian that talks about what's recyclable and what's not. I think that's something that will really help, because I know last time we talked about, and that's something that I'm working really closely with Rochelle on, is making a game plan for updating the carts, the stickers on the cart lids. But in the meantime, I think getting out this mailer will be really helpful for the residents, especially people who are moving from different states where plastics, I know, are very confusing. So those are the main two items that I have on my agenda. I just wanted to share that with you, starting at the beginning of the year, just kind of giving an overview of what my plans are.
Thank you, Sayard. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is Public Works Week. Sayard, did you want to go ahead and start this conversation? If not, Meg Larson will go ahead and give us some background too, but go ahead and start if you're ready.
Yeah, I can go ahead and start. So the work week is, the Public Works Week is June 8th from 4 to 7. So I know we have some time, but I wanted to get the ball rolling on just kind of thinking about what type of stuff you would like at your booth. Or our booth, I guess it's a 3-part: City, Republic, and SWAC. So we've all working together to showcase kind of what SWAC has done, what the city offers, and what Republic Service has done and offers. So just wanted some feedback from you guys moving forward. And do you want me to show all the 3 pictures, or?
Let's see. Why don't I go ahead and step through the slides here? Megan, can you see the slides?
Sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, say again?
I was just asking you, can you see the slides?
I can.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to step through these 3 photos that I went ahead and pulled from my background. This is a photo of us back in 2017, and the slot that we have had in the past is right in front of the stairwell, right out here in front of the chamber. We've used this as a opportunity for community outreach, and what you're seeing here is Conrad and Meg manning the table. We have a bunch of things that we were handing out at the time, things that could be associated with what was recyclable, services that were available, the pickup calendars and other things. And then there's a storyboard that we had at that point that talked about the hand-in-hand we recycle, and then the path for recyclables. I believe all those are still attached to the storyboard and that it is in storage here. Let's move to the next slide. This is the back side, and it shows over there something that Conrad's been more than gracious in hosting, which was bringing a bunch of materials that could be recycled and some things that shouldn't be recycled. And it allowed people to go ahead and go through, and what Conrad has been more than gracious in doing was, if they were able to go ahead and pick out 3 things that could be recycled, then they were moved over to a cornhole game. And if they were able to get a beanbag in the target, which was set up behind the booth, then there was some items that Republic has been more than gracious in providing to us: stress balls, Band-Aid holders, numerous other things that could be handed out as an award. Let's move on to the next one. This one was from 2019, and you can see at that point we were trying to go ahead and promote the Trash to Treasure program. So that's kind of what we've done in the past. And with that, I did want to open up to the commission about some thoughts about, is that the goal for our participation in the expo this year? Is it community outreach? And if it is, are we on the right track for the community outreach, or is there some things that we maybe want to do instead? But before I go too far into the conversation, I wanted to go ahead and bring Meg in on this, because she's volunteered year in, year out to go ahead and be the lead on this activity. And she also would have some background on the prep, so that we'd know what we've done in the past, and so that you're a little bit more informed for the conversation. With that, Meg, it's up to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you summarized it well. I don't really have too much to add. In terms of preparation, Republic was tremendously helpful to us in bringing the the activity for sorting the recycles and bringing the game. And the only other thing that we had in the past was like reusable grocery bags that we got from Albertsons. I do not think that we have those anymore, but it was really just kind of a day of participation in manning the table for those hours. It was not reaching a huge number of people, but it was very, in my experience, informative to talk with people individually. And most of the folks that I talked with learned something they didn't already know, and particularly around recycling and what could not be recycled or what could be recycled. But the preparation was not super extensive because we had such tremendous help from Republic.
Thank you, Meg. With that, I'd like to open it up to the commission if they've got any comments or questions about the material that they've seen here. So the question was explaining what Public Works Week is. Sayard, are you comfortable with that, or?
Yeah, so Public Works Week, my understanding is it's for us a one-day event. Just kind of showcase what Public Works is all about. So we have water, wastewater, environmental, and solid waste all out with different booths. And we also have different trucks and items that show the citizens so they know what's going on. I think building code might be out there too. This will be my first time as well, but it's just kind of to have a bridge gap between the community and Public Works, so the community can kind of understand what the services are and what city staff do for the residents.
Mr. Chairman, can I add to that? So in addition to that, one of the things that we do, which I hope we do again, which I don't know if we're going to do, is get on the bus. Are we doing get on the bus? No, never mind. We can just erase that. But we did order, because of all of our supply chain issues, I ordered stuff hoping we were going to do this. So I got in 500 coloring books, and I got in some stress little trash trucks and stuff like that. So I did get some supplies in for this event in case we do want to staff a booth again, minus the get on the bus.
Thank you, Rochelle. Members of the commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Rand.
is this located here in the lobby, or are we at the Villages, or?
Yes, the event itself is held in the lobby and into the conference room that's just off of the lobby here, and then out onto the property across the patio and out into the parking lot. So within the parking lot, in the past, Republic has provided a trash truck that the kids can go ahead and experience. The water department has brought in a super sucker type truck, vacuum truck. There's been a number of other vehicles that Public Works uses to just kind of give people a chance to be close to what they are and understand what they are. But then, yeah, there's a number of booths around in this area where the water department can talk a little bit more about metering and supply issues, sewage, how they go ahead and bill, and how their treatment plant works. And then there's a lot of community participation. Home Depot will come over with little projects for for kids to be able to build, and there's popcorn and hot dogs in the past has been provided. It's kind of a family evening community event.
What kind of attendance?
It's been good. I would tend to say probably 500. On the plus side, well, I should say, now those that will go ahead and break away from the trucks and all that kind of stuff and actually make it clear back into the back end of the foyer, maybe that drops to 100 to 200 of the 500. But on the other hand, we've been inside, it's been comfortable. I mean, outside we've had nasty rain, wind type situations and sometimes scorching heat. So, but that's not, well, I don't know. If the commission preferred to be out more in the action outside, we could make the request of Public Works. Basically, since it's a no charge deal to have the booth, we've been just grateful to have the room to be able to do some community outreach. But that's all background.
Well, Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I've participated for a few of these events, and I kind of like where we're at now. People are kind of have a layout that works, and the kids love sorting. They always outsort the parents on figuring out what goes in the right bucket, those sorts of things. And so, yeah, I think it's a great event. And then we could, for this year, add, squishy water bottles or what our new outreach topics are and to highlight it. I hate to say it, but I'm offering my services to help Megan, should she choose to take that on again.
Commissioner Larson, there's been a volunteering of you. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I'm delighted to participate, Mr. Chair. I have it on my calendar already, and I think it's a really fun event, and yeah, definitely a good crowd, and people come by our booth and they enjoy it, and I think it's just a great way to connect with the community. So happy to participate.
I have a question, Chair.
Sayard.
You guys might want to consider is because it's 3 hours, this may have, might want to do shifts. So like, 2 people come on for one shift. So then each person, you guys can have a chance to mingle with the public, promote SWAC, let people know what's going on with SWAC and just kind of get out in the community. And that might be an option too. I don't know, does Conrad stay I'll be there the whole time. I don't know if Conrad will. Okay.
I'm more than happy to volunteer if it's needed.
Yeah, and thank you, Taryn. Echoing Sayard, yes, we've done shifts in the past where, folks are not able to be there the entire time, but have been in our booth for a period of time, and also, as she said, walked around the event and so forth. So definitely not a requirement to be there the entire time.
So just to go ahead and make sure that we have the pleasure of the committee, could I get a indication of whether you want SWAC to participate in the Public Works Expo? If you are in favor of SWAC working with Public Works on the Public Works Expo, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, thank you. Next, I guess my wording would be that we will proceed with doing roughly what we've done in the past, unless there's any dissent. Is there anyone that would like to express dissent and therefore express that there's something they'd like to add to what we've done in the past?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Tom.
just to kind of piggyback on what Sarah said earlier, I think a really good thing just to add to what we're doing would be to have little maybe 3x5 cards of what can be recycled that we could add to the outreach pieces that we can give out, just at our little table.
Good recommendation. Tom, would you be willing to go ahead and draft that? And then if you would draft that, then we could maybe have staff create copies to be able to be handed out, possibly with the assistance of Republic in printing.
I'd be happy to.
Thank you much. Okay. Sarah, do you think if he had that to you, say in 2 weeks, that that'd be enough time to be able to develop the materials for the Public Works Expo?
He could give it to me in a month. That's fine. I think just, Tom, if you wouldn't mind, just maybe shoot me an email of kind of what you were envisioning, so I had some idea, but I think that would be fine. I think in the past, did you have a SWAC subcommittee about what you wanted, that you created for this? That might be something that SWAC, I and Conrad, Rochelle get together and just kind of talk about how we mold everything together. You know, what you would want to see, what I, and then what Republic too, since it's a shared booth.
Okay, Tom, let's go ahead and take that as no later than March 18th.
March 18th, 10-4, sir.
Okay. So Meg, did you say that you would be willing to go ahead and be our lead on this activity?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy to have anybody's participation that would desire to participate. Sayed though, it's not super complicated, so I'm not sure that we need an actual formal subcommittee. We can contact members of the committee that would like to be there that day and so forth. But of course, anybody that wants to work on organization prior to that, I'm totally fine with that. But I think it works to keep it simple. It's just a few hours on one afternoon. It's not super complex, so I'm not sure we need a subcommittee.
I think, so what I'll do is just say, have Meg work with Sayard and then with Rochelle to go ahead and get all this, do all the logistics beforehand, and then please ask us anything that we can do to help you guys. Do ask, because I know a lot of us want to help. We just know we'd be in the way if we jumped in and did what we wanted. So we'll wait for your request, but don't hesitate to ask.
That's fine. I just wanted to kind of make sure we're all in communication. So yeah, certainly, you know, I email Meg what your ideas are, and then she can just get with me and then we can coordinate everything.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. Further comments on that? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the Trash or Treasure event on April 30th through May 1st. Sayard?
Yeah, so that weekend, we'll spearhead, I think it's a 6th annual event. And then right after that will be the spring cleanup. But I guess what I was wondering, I've heard in the past that you will also be out on the weekend taking photographs of items that are out on the curb. So I was wondering if you would be able to do that again this year. And if you have any ideas about how to spread the word. I know that unfortunately Rand had to leave, but he has a lot of connections with HOAs. I don't know if there's any other connections that you can think of that maybe I haven't thought of communication wise to get the communication out or information out that we are going to have this event for single family homes.
Mr. Chair and Sayard, I contacted my management company that handles the HOA, and I asked her if we had a flyer, because we get a monthly newsletter, if we had a flyer, if she would put it in the newsletter. And they have a Facebook page, they're also involved in, there's a ton of people here involved in Nextdoor. So she said she would put it on every single platform. And she was actually excited because she said she gets the notice in her bill, but then by the time she goes to get the stuff, it ends up being, the stuff ready to put out on the curb. She realizes it's too late. So if she said if she could get the flyer as soon as possible, she will post it like 2 months in a row. And well, actually April 30th, I guess it would just be one month in a row or 1 month ahead of time. But that would go out to at least 400 homes. So.
Sayard, can I go ahead and just suggest that you and Taryn probably work this issue as far as connecting with the HOAs?
No, that's wonderful, Taryn. Our communications specialist and I are developing a flyer, and I'll be working with Rochelle this week. So once that gets developed, we'll certainly send that your way. And then we'll also have information on what type of Facebook and Nextdoor posts that the HOA person can also put on their platform. So that's wonderful. Thanks.
And Mr. Chair, I believe in the past, we had a video done by some famous people involved in this group. I even saw that on Channel 7 News one morning. So I have some community service programs. We had that video that kind of talked about trash or
You can blame Tom.
Mr. Audie's fault, but it's out there somewhere.
So again, Sayard,
Mr. Chair,
well, Commissioner Audie.
the Sayard and Joanna should actually still have access to that video, and it's currently on Facebook. I'm looking at the Facebook page right now, so if you go back in the archives, it's there, and I think that would be another great way if you could get that on during some of the perhaps a PSA time or something with the local media. It might be a good way to spread the word a little bit more.
Chair, yeah, the specialists, we have found that video, and I think we just need to update some of the information, but that's something in our outreach plan that we have: video, flyers, Facebook, a Q&A on Facebook, and also other types of outreach. Website updates as well.
I think I can say that there are a wealth of resources here on the commission, so feel free to ask if there's, if you need to get in touch with any of the things we've done in the past for communication. I know everybody remembers stuff and can certainly help, so. Further comments on trash or treasure?
Mr. Chairman, just Republic and Sayard and team are going to meet tomorrow. And then if anyone else has ideas, I have a list of comments and feedback like we solicited from this group from last year. And I sent some of those over to Sayard. But if you guys have any other updates, and it's going to be here before we know it. So if you guys want to see anything else or have any other suggestions, if you want to send them to either one of us, we'll be meeting starting tomorrow afternoon, kind of hemming in the changes for this year. Thanks.
Further comments? Very good. Well, thank you, Sayard, for a number of items very quickly. As mentioned, we went ahead and continued our conversation on community outreach. So as far as old business, the next item is to just acknowledge that that is still open for comments on community outreach. Is there any commissioner that wants to go ahead and identify anything in relationship to community outreach that they want to bring before us for additional consideration?
Mr. Chair, have we talked about like composting and like step-by-step for the community outreach of what they can and cannot compost, and all garden be useful for it in the waste?
Good subject. Are you thinking of maybe something that could be, that we would develop that could be handed out in the future at various opportunities?
Yes, even, I was gonna ask a question about even the Public Works, if, you know, if there's any information about that, that they can see as the community can compost their materials that way.
Is there any possibility I could go ahead and have you go ahead and lay out those thoughts and then go ahead and provide them to staff for consideration for something that we may be able to use for communication in the future?
Absolutely.
Okay. Sean, I'll task you with that, and if you could go ahead and put that together and present it, then and there's a couple of opportunities that are coming up, but maybe we'll want to even consider other opportunities besides the Public Works Week and then something I'm going to mention next. But further comments from commissioners? Well, I would go ahead and express the fact that community outreach is probably the thing that we keep on coming back to as needing to be improved. And of course, that is a kind of a deal there. It can, a continuous improvement on it is probably a very good thing. So consider this open, even though it may not be on the agenda in the future. Suggestions on community outreach would be great. With that, I'm going to move into new business. After our planning session 2 weeks ago, I had noticed on the web that Meridian is planning to go ahead and do Unplug and Be Outside. And this year, it's not going to be it's not going to be the same time as Trash or Treasure. Fortunately, it is the week afterwards, May 7th through 14th. The reason I mention that is that in the past, that has been an opportunity for us to go ahead and release some recycled bicycles. And I have run this by Rochelle, and she's got interest in it, but it's only, 8 or 9 weeks away. So it would draw on us heavily. And you've heard what staff is doing. This is something that if we're going to do something with it, it will have to be commissioners and the commission going ahead and doing the legwork and doing things. But the opportunity is available for us to go ahead and do this. I'm not sure if the commission needs a quick refresher on Recycle a Bicycle or on the Unplug and Be Outside. I could draw on Rochelle to maybe fill in some details.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Yeah, we've not done it the last couple of years. I think we tried to do a virtual event and it wasn't as successful as we had hoped. But I know Timber Creek has shown up in the past, and we had people bring their bicycles with flat tires, and we slimed them and pumped up tires and fixed tires. And I think in the past we've given away 40 bikes at a time. And I think Renee is willing to do the sign up again online. If you guys are all game, we do have a lot of bikes. Commissioner Audie has sent us 2 big roll-off boxes of bikes from the landfill. So I'm in the process of loading bikes that we fixed up and getting them out to storage just so we have room. But I would suggest we do it again. We have a lot of bikes that are ready to go. If the commissioners here are on the repair team are up for getting the band back together when it's a little warmer, or we can meet in our indoor kind of cafeteria area again if it's cold outside. So I'd put it back. We're totally willing to do it. I'm sure our general manager would love to see us move 50 or 100 bikes through. If Timber Creek's in again this year, it would be fantastic. I think it's a great event. And we're in if you guys are in.
Thank you for that backgrounder on it. So opening it up for comments from the commission.
Commissioner Nelson and Commissioner Walters are volunteering.
Keating is also volunteering.
I will volunteer also.
I love
I'm
it
sorry,
when the
Mr. Chair, could you say the date of the event again?
Could I say, excuse me, could I say what? Oh, the date. The date of the event, actually, I would imagine the date of the event is going to be the 7th. Renee White is the coordinator for this thing. So I guess what I need to do is, first off, get an indication from the commission if they are willing to go ahead and proceed with this. And then after that, I'd like to go ahead and get identify a liaison that could go ahead and contact Renee and find out the particulars. But if it runs the way that it has in the past, it would be on the kickoff date, which is the May 7th. So, and that would be from 10 to 2 on that Saturday. Anyway, let me entertain a vote first. Would the commission like to go ahead and commit to participate in a Recycle a Bicycle event at the Unplug and Be Outside activity of the city this year?
Yes.
Aye.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Very good. Any opposed, nay? That passes by voice vote. I need a liaison, a lead for this activity.
I believe Commissioner Nelson was that person.
Mr. Chair, I was going to volunteer to take on that role. Just checking to see if I can help. Yes, I'd be happy to work with Republic Services and whatever we need to do to kind of make a plan. I think we had some in the past, set up some tables, make sure we have some repair equipment on hand, and then if we have some funds, I don't know if this commission needs to release any money to help buy tubes and slime and all the things that we normally do to get prepped and ready for.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Nelson, yeah, we have, I think, a gallon, one of the big jugs of slime left. But other than that, I think we're pretty depleted. We have the tools, but we don't have many tubes. So if there's a budget, that would probably be great.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Nelson. You are the liaison for this to go ahead and work with Republic on what's going on. I'm going to slide you down the business card for Renee White. She's the coordinator for the activity, actually. Here's a flyer. And if you could contact her and find out, you know, if what we're thinking fits in with what they're thinking, I guess what I would request is, and then if you feel you need resources, please come to us and request resources at the March meeting. So a month from now, as far as if you need something, but
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I can do that. And then I'd be curious on the layout. If we're going to have, I think in the past we had bicycle helmets from St. Luke's. We had the police bicycle rodeo was going next to us. So we kind of had a set up at Kleiner Park. So I'd be curious if it's the same location this year. And if not, we'd have to different plan.
none of that's on the flyer at this point. So unfortunately, that is going to be where you're going to start. When you talk with Renee, find out where we would be set up, you know, what we need to do on that, but also find out if they're doing an outreach with St. Luke's, and if they've done an outreach with the police department and whatever else. And I guess if you need some help in communication, if it comes back to us, then please ask.
I will. And yeah, just to confirm, it looks like it's already listed as Saturday, May 7th, 10 to 2 at Kleiner Park. But yeah, the other particulars aren't really covered. So we'll follow up. And then I might, at that time, figure out if we need to ask for some money for some supplies. And then reach out to Timber Creek if verify that they'll be, I have visual at their end.
Thank you all. Any further comments on the recycle a bicycle activity? Very good. That completes everything that's on the agenda. Oh, Rochelle, would you like to go ahead and add something?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted, for the good of the order, just follow up on a few unfinished items that I had. Dr. Spiewak had asked if those big bags, if Timber Creek could take them, remember the leaf bags that he brought in? So I did run those past Timber Creek, and there are a limited number of types of bags or brands of bags that they have tested and they will accept. So I feel bad he's not here to hear that we can use some of those in addition to the paper bags. So that's just something we can run it as a pilot and see if people are compliant. If you guys want to do it, sort of opening the floodgates, because once you start saying we'll take compostable bags, it could be hard to walk back from that, but they can take certain brands of bags at their compost facility. So that was good news. And the other thing is we did get confirmation today that historically we've mailed the magnets out to every household, in the utility bill, and those, because of shipping delays and things like that, went out February 5th and 20th. And then we did get a list of all the e-bill customers from Sayard, and those all should have mailed yesterday. So everybody now will have a magnet that talks about all the programs for the whole year on the calendar. So that's new this year, and those should have mailed yesterday. So those should be in people's boxes before Friday. Those are just my unfinished ones. So thank you.
For the sake of feedback, I've received mine, so.
Okay.
With that,
Chair, did
Well,
you want to
Chair.
add this month or next month,
oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me that. Sayard has brought up the point that I think we've been delinquent in not having election of officers for a while. And so it is something that should, since we do operate under Robert's Rules of Order, it should be noticed. So at the next meeting, we'll go ahead and elect a chair and a vice chair. Unless someone can refresh my memory that we have actually had an election in the last 12 months. And I believe you actually, Sayard, you did look in the ordinance, and as it more or less implies that election should be every January.
Yeah, the city clerk asked me if we did it already, and I said no, and I didn't know if we needed to. So I did. Yeah, I looked in the city ordinance, and it does say calendar year,
Yeah.
January. So we're a few months behind. I don't think that's not big a deal.
I think I heard a yes over on the other side of the, yes, legal is nodding their head on that. And so, yeah, we'll get back in cycle on this, and that they'll be done in January's coming up. But as far as for calendar year 2022, the election will be in March. And it will be held next month. And I think that pretty much announces it.
Is there anything on my side that you need? I'm not sure how you do your election, if you just do a verbal or you need some type of paperwork to write down. We want to be elected.
No, the process is pretty much laid out in Robert's Rules of Order. As chair, I'll go ahead and open up the opportunity for nominations from the floor for chairman. Nominations will be received, and we'll proceed to speeches at that particular point, and then a vote on the chair, and then we move on to the position of vice chair and do the repeated again. So.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as a commissioner, the only other thing is it has to just be noticed on the agenda. That election of officers will be an item, an action item on the agenda.
Thank you for reminding me of that. And obviously that's something, now it'll be on the calendar and we will catch it every January. With that, we've completed the business that we needed to go ahead and attend to. So I will go ahead and call the meeting adjourned. Obviously, as usual, if there are subjects you want us to bring up, track me down or track Sayard, and we'll go ahead and cover them. But thank you for your participation and the things that you bring to this meeting. It's very rewarding to be involved in this group. So I will see you next month. The next meeting is March 23rd. Meeting adjourned.